Hey everyone, this is Aloni. I hope all of you red pandas that they have a great day so far, because you are the sweetest thing out there, and I'm back with another episode of Steins episode 8, and honestly this is so much crawling things in my brain right now. But before we're talking about this episode and possible spoilers, there will be a little audio promotion right here. So please be sure to check out the others. Links in the description box, where you also can find the links to the reaction video of Steins Gate. And this episode, I must say, I find this insanely interesting. The more I watch it, the more it like really draws me into it, and my mind is getting all like, "I got weird up here, man. It's something weird." My brain is like crawling around. Because see how they're changing things. Now they started to change a lot of things. Things are changing, definitely, and seeing that first they changed with a cell phone for Moeka, Shiny Fingers. I mean, what's going on? I mean, that is pretty big change to it. And then of course with Ruko, that he wanted it to change, that he is born a girl instead of a boy. And they actually managed to find the pager and things like that and sending it back in time. I mean, that is pretty crazy things. And I assume from the reaction as well from Mijori calling him Ruka-chan, because she called him Ruka-kun before. Oh gosh, terrible, sorry about that. Must mean that Ruka is a girl now. I assume so, at least that's the change that have happened. And just because he already looks so feminine, and well, she now, and maybe she didn't get too much curve, so to speak, and all that. There is something there though, and maybe there's something else that changed. Maybe that is, for what we know, maybe it's a twin. Imagine that, because the changes that became, it could be an twin. That would be quite sick actually, if that kind of thing happened. Because as I can see it, as I mentioned in the video, that when the embryo and all that is, and the egg and all of these things are happening, there's never a preset gender that will happen. That what is said is that we all start as girls, and then we, of course, depending on the chromosome changes and things like that, you will become a boy or a girl when you're born and all that. And of course after a couple of months in the belly and all. Now don't take my words on it, because I honestly don't know exactly all scientific about it, but I think it's pretty interesting. And seeing about that could actually have an effect. I mean, what you're eating, I mean, if you're smoking, if you as I mentioned, what you eat, if you eat lots of meat and all that, the position of the humping, so to speak, you know, how the swimmers go. I mean, there are so many things that can affect and create changes. So when that message get back, from what I can imagine is that, so to speak, it resets. It gives a new chance what it could be. That it could be a boy, it could be a girl, because the future is not actually set. Only the past is. So when they change that, it can affect differently. I mean, at least what I think, or maybe it is like that. Well, what happened do happen. That future is set in that timeline. But what do we know? From what you maybe some of the other ones, I mean, can maybe change gender. Maybe like Susu, maybe Brown, or maybe someone. Who knows? Because it seems everything started back. Well, Brown is probably older than that, of course, so that probably does work. But you know what I mean? Those that are born after that definitely could probably be affected by it, because it could be because of that message, for example, Ruka's mother might go and talk with her friends and saying that, yeah, eat more veggies for healthier kids, and that changes. That is a domino effect, so to speak, that one thing causes another thing to happen. It's a chain reaction of dominoes, so to speak. I mean, you know what I mean? It can influence a change so much. Just a little thing change of the past. I mean, it was like what they changed the past with Moika, that she sent a message back about don't buy this new phone, and I think that is like, I mean, it doesn't need to be something huge, and still it changes so much. And that goes for away by the fact that the first time they changed was with the Lodo thing. And the Ruka appeared, you know, she gave them, well, now she, I guess, and Ruka gave them a watermelon because messing it up. Then they altered the timeline again with the Moika's cell phone, sending it back, and Ruka never got to leave the watermelon because she heard them talking in there about it, time machines and all that. So by doing that, they already alternated the timeline once again. I mean, they alternated the timeline they have alternated. I mean, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's weird. I will probably get some blood clot up in my brain at this point but this is so insane interesting about this concept about characters and all of these stories about how, and the possibilities of changes with it. And I was told that things will get even more complicated, and I most likely will have my brain blown out or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised at all. As well, I want to apologize to DP Jaman that, of course, it's Elsa Congo with a K, not C. I don't. My brain haven't been able to comprehend all of these things. I'm a weak man. My brain can't handle all of this. It's too much cool things. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, and I think it's really interesting how all of this have been evolving. I mean, it definitely have been dragging me into this, seeing more and more of how they're changing things and how it can really fuck things up so much. It can change, and that's what makes me wonder about changing the past. And this John Titor guy that talking about how Ocarina can be the savior, and I'm still very suspicious about that, because everything that they do can make it even worse. And the thing is, if CERN have the ability to send people back in time, it's legit a mess actually, because Ocarina and the people and the lab changing the past. So CERN, something happened with CERN in the future. Something happened, but they don't know about that. Or maybe they sending people way back before Ocarina and them change, and then Ocarina and everyone won't know about it. Because the first John Titor, maybe it's Ocarina. That would be a very interesting thing, because he could literally been sent himself back in time, and because the timeline had been altered, everything, they wouldn't know anything else, and of course he would probably forget it. I mean, he would remember. I mean, everything would change to the new timeline, the new world line. That is some other theories. I'm terribly sorry for all the random weird theories I'm throwing out, but I'm getting to think a lot, and when I'm thinking a lot, it's not a good thing. I'm getting a bit of like, what? But seriously though, this is so freakishly interesting. I'm curious to see how everything will work out in the end. Seeing to the very end of this show and learning more about what's happening, what's going on, is someone from the future, and who? We don't know. I don't know. You probably do know if you already watched the show, but I definitely don't know. And that reminds me that there is a game. There is a game actually of this. And when I'm done with this anime, I'm gonna see if I can make a let's play on that game as well. Even if it's a long visual novel and all that, I think it would be fun to try out at least. But well, I will be back with more reaction videos, more Steins Gate and all that very soon, of course. So thank everyone, see you later on, and most of all though, have a continued super great day.